The noon sun caused beads of sweat to run down the school children's faces. Recess was sacred to the kids of Melbourne Middle School. Not for little Mark, however. Mark was an obese boy. Every recess, he would be teased from almost every student about his weight. "Hey look, it's the fat kid," one boy said, drawing the attention of those who would chime in on the words "fatso." Mark would often hide from his tormentors, crying in the shadows of the school trees. Years went on. Mark was now a teenager with the same weight problem he had before. High school had been even more brutal to him. "Hey Chunky, you're blocking the hallway," one football player said, hoping to get a laugh or two from those around him. It worked. Mark was tired of being obese, so he did what most teens would do in his situation. He got weight loss surgery. The operation was a success. Mark had lost most of his weight. Recovery soon began. A young nurse by the name of Jenny sympathized with his decision. She too underwent the same procedure because of the sneers and laughs. Jenny decided to help Mark through his healing phase. A month went by. Mark was ready to see the world through a different point of view. He went to school in hopes of people finally leaving him alone. Teens can be cruel, however. They weren't about to let their victim slip away that easy. "Look everyone," a jock yelled. "The fat boy took the easy way out. Lazy bum." Mark looked at the jock with an intense hatred. Other students began to chime the word lazy over and over again. He teared up, hiding in the shadows he knew so well. Mark stayed completely silent for the next 2 years. He didn't eat at all, except for a slice of bread or two a day, constantly staring at blank spaces with a petrifying demeanor. The other teens would try to get under his skin, yet it did not faze the emotionally tortured soul. No tears were shed, no hatred was shown. Mark just seemed to be distant. The cruel high school students just stopped making fun of him altogether. It was too late. Mark would never be the same again. It was now his senior year. Mark lost so much weight. This terrified most of the other students. He was already so thin. Mark's skin showed the bones from his skull and arms. Other students began to finally show compassion enough to try to converse with him. The only thing that he would tell these hypocritical people had been to go away. Jocks once again began to make fun of Mark, shouting, "Hey everyone, look, it's Mr. Bones." Some of the other jocks, along with the cheerleaders, laughed, but no one else did. Mark never attended the graduation ceremony. He had his diploma given to him in the privacy of his own home. Jenny was once again called to help. She had developed emotional feelings for Mark, so she decided to be his caregiver. 20 years passed. Mark's condition stayed the same. However, Jenny was still by his side. The neighborhood children would quickly pass through Mark's driveway. Apparently, there had been rumors that if the children were bad, Mr. Bones would come for them in the middle of the night to take them to his old home and eat them. This rumor had obviously been created by the old jocks who still enjoyed remembering useless high school jokes. The spread of this story would often have the so-called tough kids challenge Mr. Bones to come out and try to take them away. Mark would turn his head from the window that he sat by for so long and gaze at the tough kids with piercing eyes of hatred. The kids would run off without saying a word. One day, Jenny went to get groceries at the nearby market. She could feel the eyes of the people staring at her. Mothers quietly told their children not to get near the mistress of Mr. Bones. This angered Jenny. She left her cart and decided to take her business elsewhere. She started the car. with a trembling hand. As Jenny drove, she wondered why the town treated Mark so badly. In the middle of her thoughts, Jenny had been distracted by eggs being thrown at her windshield by some of the local children. She lost control of her car, hitting a tree with enough force to break her neck. A police officer came to Mark's home with the bad news. Tear ducts that hadn't been used in years finally let go of the salty water leaking down his bony cheeks. He screamed in what sounded like a raspy tone of a person who finally used their vocal cords for the first time. The news hit town. No one cared, going on with their daily lives like if nothing happened. Tonight, however, people will remember the night everything came crashing down in their peaceful little town. Darkness approached. Parents kissed their children asleep as they too began to head to bed. Shadows, overtaking the light of the full moon, danced in the bedroom windows. The trees swayed back and forth, followed by what appeared to be a shadow of a hand, slowly opening the window to the room of an old high school jock who tormented Mark so many years ago. Blood splattered on the walls, floors, and beds. Decapitated corpses of parents began to increase in number as Mr. Bones killed most of his old bullies, leaving his initials behind on the windows, bodies, and doors. Children woke up at the crack of dawn without knowing what happened. They opened the doors to their parents' rooms, seeing things that would forever scar them. The screams of each parentless child echoed throughout the neighborhood. Some kids began calling relatives from the next town to quickly come over and bring police. This town had now been the site of a mass murder. Police smashed the door open to Mark's home. On the floor was a suspect, long since dead. A crime scene investigator confirmed that Mark had been dead since yesterday afternoon from heart failure. The police looked around the house, discovering that there had been a room in the basement. The room was full of things a teenage boy might like. However, no one was inside. The room was searched. In a small trash can on the right side of a small desk had been a single crumpled up letter, which read, "My dear son Jake, as you sleep in your room, I am writing this to let you know that your mother had been in a car accident. She sadly passed away, which is now taking a toll on me, as I too am starting to pass. I loved her so much, and I love you too, which is why I prepared for something like this. In the box under this letter is money saved up from my Social Security check that I got every month. This should let you start a new life away from these heartless locals, especially since you are as thin as I am. I wanted you to live a normal life, son. You always chose to copy your old man. You even ended up looking like me, which scared me. Jake, I am the way I am because the people ridiculed me growing up. The parents of this town made my life a living hell. No one knows who you are, since your mom and I homeschooled you, which gives you the choice to live a wonderful life. The world can be a cruel place, its people even more so. I love you so much, Jake. Please, my boy, please, make your life a good one. Love, your dad." The police now knew that Mark and Jenny had a son. In a green bag hidden under the bed had been numerous saws and blades covered in blood. The police knew who their killer was. Or did they? The teen had no social security, identification card, or hospital record. It was like he never existed at all. No fingerprints were found on the weapons or on any of the items in his room. What had been most disturbing, however, was the fact that they didn't know whether he had left town or was actually still around. A year passed on. The investigation went unsolved. The town once again slowly returned to normal. Some say, however, to this day, that they can see the figure of a tall, skinny person moving in the shadows of the thick trees, carrying two large knives that shine from the moon's light, awaiting for the next parent to utter the name Mr. Bones. Jake had indeed been traveling in the shadows of the night, making sure that no one insulted his father's memory ever again.